A few weeks ago, my friend Bob, some of you may know him as Wulff Den on YouTube and Twitch, asked me if I was interested in helping him build a keyboard. After a few conversations and what he was looking for, we decided on a Tofu65 kit, PBT keycaps that matched his desk setup, a coiled cable that also matched the colorway, and linear switches. To make sure it sounded good, I went for the case and plate foam to eliminate case noise. We also went for the brass plate to get a nice thock out of it. As for the case, this thing was way heavier than I thought it would be. These brass weights are definitely heavy, but even without it, I feel like the case would have a good amount of weight to it. Taking a look at the back, we can see the brass weight, and there's some circular indents for where you put the rubber feet. So this case doesn't have any kick-out feet, but the case is angled a good amount anyway. This little bag contains the rubber feet and the screws that we'll need to screw in the PCB to the case. This is the PCB that came with the kit. It has RGB lighting on both top and bottom, and hot swap sockets. Like many modern PCBs, the input is a USB-C port. And if you want to pick this one up, it's called the DC65 RGB V3. So let's put on these rubber feet. Success, the rubber feet work well. They don't slide or drag too much, especially since it's a heavier case. Next comes the case foam, and you'll see the hot swap socket cutouts. Just need to line this up with the standoffs. This kit came with its own stabs, but they're usually not very good, so I went ahead and purchased the ZOPC screw-in stabs, which I have in a few of my boards, and these typically feel wonderful. Oh yeah, you get a sticker too. Here are the screws that attach the stabs to the PCB. Comes with both size space bars, and I happen to love the clear housings because it helps when you have to do lube and mod jobs, which we'll get into right now. So for stabs, I generally use Krytox 205G0, very common for the housings, and Permatex dielectric grease for where the wire meets the housing. This keyboard uses the shorter spacebar, so we'll just put this one aside. Okay, so now we have to screw the stabs onto the PCB, which is super simple. Just attach them to the PCB and use a small Phillips head screwdriver. Now onto the keycaps. Bob wanted something that matched the aesthetic of his desk setup, which is predominantly blue. So we went with these beautiful PBT keycaps. Now, these are not double shot, they are dye-sublimated legends, which is usually risky, but these look pretty good. Before I put everything together, I've learned the hard way to just check all the stabs to make sure that they're correct. The spacebar wasn't sounding exactly how I wanted it to, but I wanted to push forward and just make sure everything else was right. So now for the switch choice, which is always a big choice. We went with the Gateron Milky Yellows, which I've only heard good things about. Bob wanted something that was obviously good for gaming, since he's a gaming YouTuber, but he also wanted something to be his daily driver, because he does a lot of his writing and editing for his videos himself. I knew that these particular switches benefited from being lubed after doing a bunch of research, so I lubed them up with, again, Krytox 205G0, and for the springs I used GPL 105 by bag lubing them. Now, I had these 0.5mm switch films, but they were a little too thick. I then tried the 0.125s as well, and they didn't really benefit from being filmed, so I just left them off. And they still felt great. So since the spacebar was pretty rattly and uneven, I ended up doing the Holee Mod using fabric band-aids, and it totally fixed it. Bob also had some custom Wulff Den keycaps made, so I used one of those for the escape key. What's cool about it is the logo is translucent so that you can actually see the RGB underneath when pressed. Now all that's left is the sound test.
So thank you for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed watching the build process for Bob from Wulff Den's new keyboard. I am going to be posting a video next week of me delivering the keyboard to him, and it was so hard to let it go. You know, when I made this and started typing on it, I was like, ooh, I've got to make one of these for myself, because I actually really like these Gateron switches, and I love the feeling of the Tofu. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to use the same case, but I really liked those linear switches. And you guys know that I'm like more of a tactile clicky guy, so that says a lot about these switches. If you haven't already, if you'd like to support, make sure that you like this video because it helps the YouTube algorithm and for other keyboard enthusiasts to see this video. Also, if you want to be notified about my new videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm on Instagram at GeekLevelAsianTech. And again, stay tuned for next week's video where I go deliver the keyboard to my buddy Bob. So that's it, guys. Keep on keeping.